Silumgar trains those whom he favors in his magic, granting them the ability to spread his disdain across the land. Hand of Silumgar. Hello everyone, my name is AK, aka Austin, from Elder Drunken Highlander, and this is our deck tech video for Dimir Dragons, a dragon tribal deck helmed by Silumgar, the Drifting Death, featuring only 4 true dragons. Dimir Dragons is a token-based dragon tribal deck that seeks to leverage a board full of creatures in combination with Silumgar's ability and an Arcane Adaptation style of effect in order to continuously keep our opponents off their creatures. The deck swarms the board in the late game and can lock out some creature-based decks entirely with the help from our hexproof commander. Our strategy is sneaky, and our opponents often don't know what to make of the deck until we've slammed down one of our key pieces and it becomes too late. This deck plays out in a way like a lot of secret commander strategies that attempt to bluff with a commander that their deck isn't actually built around. You can think of Arcane Adaptation, Xenograph, and Conspiracy as our secret commanders. Now, on to strategy. Our deck seeks to establish a board presence of weenie creatures and tokens while using our draw and tutor engines to find one of the cards that can switch us from dorks to dragons. Putting down Silumgar on curve, even when you only have one dragon, is still good too. Our Dragon Lord has hexproof, so he is much less likely to die. And there are plenty of good creatures with 1 toughness he can take out even without the help of his brood. Once we hit the mid-game, we should have access to enough dragons, quote-unquote, to continuously wipe people's boards when we attack them. We can now use our newly anointed dragons to attack for the win. Big token generators such as Grave Titan, Una, and Army of the Damned act as finishers for us and board wipes for our enemies. The nice part about this deck is, because we can turn our creatures into dragons, we don't have to jam our deck full of slow and expensive dragons. We can just swarm with generically good creatures and turn them into dragons when it's suitable. Look to keep hands with a decent amount of ramp, some cards with advantage, and at least 1 creature, and at least 1 piece of interaction, ideally. If you can get Silumgar out with another creature on turn 5, then you are already golden. Once you have a board state that you want to start amassing a card advantage and searching for an Arcane Adaptation effect. Look to leave mana open to protect from enemy board wipes and focus down players who may be running sacrifice or wipe heavy strategies. Our main path to victory is with good old-fashioned combat damage. Over time, we will have a creature army capable of wiping out players in 1 or 2 swings. Voltron is also a decent secondary win con, with Silumgar being a persistent flying body, and with us having a few good equipment in the deck. As stated before, this deck is vulnerable to board wipe or sacrifice heavy strategies, so try to focus those players down first. Additionally, prison decks can make it hard for us to get in and deal damage, so they need to be targeted down as well. Outside of Cyclonic Rift, Unstable Obelisk, and Callous Dismissal, we don't have many ways to interact with enchantments, so if Prison or Martyr's Bond type strategies exist in your meta, you may want to slot in some more counter magic or blink of an eye effects. Another thing we need to watch out for with this deck is Spellslinger or other sneaky combo style strategies. Since we punish other creature decks that would usually keep these decks in check, that means we sometimes need to shoulder the responsibility of attacking into a Spellslinger or combo player, even if that means letting a creature player build up their defenses yet again. Alright, on to single card analysis. First up, I want to talk about Arcane Adaptation, Conspiracy, Xenograph, and Day of the Dragons. These cards are the backbone of our deck and act as the way we can abuse Silumgar to control the board. Day of the Dragons needs to be cast before Silumgar, but the upside is sometimes just killing people. Our other 3 enchantments can also be stacked with each other to make our creatures all fairies for our Spell Stutter Sprite, or all ninjas for Yoriko. Second up is Bident of Thassa, Reconnaissance Mission, Phyrexian Arena, Yoriko, Rhystic Study, Tandem Lookout. This is our draw package, and it makes it easy for us to keep casting creatures as well as slam down any powerful effects we may not necessarily tutor for, such as, I don't know, Whip of Erebos. Our third section is 1 card, Field of the Dead. Making tokens from just playing lands is really great value, and in this deck, we go to great lengths to make sure we can do just that using Field of the Dead. We are stretched thin on basics, so in order to help get to our 7 land count faster, we also run as many fetches as we can alongside islands and swamps, quote unquote. Like, I don't know, Mooring Island and Witch's Cottage, to up the count as fast as we can in 2 colors, as well as to get 2 zombies a turn once we have the field all ready to go. Our next section are ramp creatures such as Silvermere, Seascryer, Plaguemere, Palladiummere, Mannequin, Leadmere, and Hedron Crawler. Our mana dorks can ramp us early and double as attackers in the mid to late game. Yes, even you, Hedron Crawler, can serve the Dragon Lord and be helpful with the power of Arcane Adaptation and Silumgar. Lastly, I'd like to talk about Spark Double and Helm of the Host. Silumgar really pops off when there's 2 of them. You can attack multiple players or just really make one person's day suck. Now, there are some notable exclusions. Most of the cards left out were due to budget reasons. I try to build with cards that I own or could reasonably afford, and I try not to include terribly expensive pieces in the deck, unless they are, super important to that deck strategy. There's also a few spicy cards I didn't include because they are too slow, in my opinion. Now, there are definitely some cards that can be upgraded here in the mana department if you're willing to spend the coin. There are also always better counter magic and removal options out there than the rather cheap ones we are running. And lastly, some equipment like Sword of Light and Shadow and Body and Mind may improve the deck as well. As for spicy excludes you may want to add if you build this yourself, I left out a lot of changelings because I decided I wanted creatures with better abilities. I also considered going harder into a mass with Dreadhorde Invasion or Zombie Tribal with cards like Josu and Vess and Scarab God, so keep those in mind too. Power level. This is a casual to tuned casual deck. Although it has expensive cards and a high tutor density, it also relies on combat damage with weenies for wins and is light on removal due to its main combo, which doesn't actually kill people and can be disrupted easily. This deck is a great deck to play against both friends and randoms at your LGS alike, as it is a spicy and unique brew that can win without being so powerful that it creates salt by not letting other players play out their strategies a little bit. So, in conclusion, at the end of it all, Dimir Dragons is a sneaky and fun aggro, combo, control, all 3, deck that will dazzle opponents with hidden dragons and zombie armies. The deck has a lot of built-in versatility, and this strategy could work well with a number of other shells. A control shell with cards like Talrend would be powerful. You could also lean harder into either zombie or fairy tribal. Voltronian could become more of a focus with many equipment producing tokens and Silumgar having hexproof. The only cards you really need are our 4 dragon shifting enchantments. Well, that's all. And remember, untap, upkeep, drink.